Welcome to this video on tricks and traps. In this video, I'll be showing you how to avoid the common pitfalls that so many students fall for. So after you watch this video, you'll know exactly how to avoid the tricks and traps of this little spider over here and not be a fly falling into this spider web. So there are basically 8 traps that you need to be looking out for. And the first of these is synonym language. Now, we've been talking a lot about synonym language, and just to refresh your memory, synonyms are words that have the same meaning, but different words that are used to convey the same meaning. So the correct answer will almost always use synonyms. So this is basically something that you're going to see in pretty much every single question. So you should become very familiar with understanding synonym language. The next trap to look out for is the exact language trap. So in this type of trap, the examiners are going to use keywords from a wrong answer choice. So they might use a certain word, for example, let's say the word book. So the word book might appear as one of the answer choices. But they're going to throw around exact words from the wrong answer choices in order to trick you, to get you to pick the wrong answer. So this is why it's so important to understand the meaning of the question and not just pick an answer because you hear the exact same keyword. So always pay attention to the meaning that is being conveyed. The next trap is the multiple answers trap, and in this trap, they are going to list out some of the answer choices that are listed or all of the possible answer choices that are listed. You'll notice that there is certainly an overlap that happens here. For example, if the keyword appears once, they're going to try to trick you by using the exact language, but then they may also use the exact language with some of the answer choices or with multiple answer choices or with all of them, okay? So there is certainly an overlap here. I'm going to be delving into much more detail to show you examples of each one of these traps, but right now I just want to give you a quick overview before we delve deeper into them. The next trap is modification. So in modification, what they will do is they will give you a wrong answer choice and then they're going to correct it. They're going to say, oh no, that's not what I mean, or that's not quite right, and then they're going to go ahead and give the correct answer. So first they will give a wrong answer and then they're going to correct it or modify it into the correct answer. Next, word reorder. So sometimes the answer is going to come in an order that is different from the question. What I mean by this is that in the question, when you hear the keywords may not appear in the same order in which they appear in the question. So the order of the keywords may be changed up in the audio tape. When they are giving the answers, the keywords may be changed up in their order. But this does not mean that the answer to question number 4 is going to come before the answer to question number 3. That will never happen. The answer to question number 4 will always come after the answer to question number 3, and the answer to question number 3 will always come after the answer to question number 2. So when I say word reorder, I'm really only talking about the keywords in one single question, in one particular question. The keywords within any one given question may be switched up in their order. I'll show you more examples of this very soon, but let's continue on with this overview. The next trap is the delayed response. So what this means is that they may take a very long time before they give you the correct answer. So they may wait several seconds, sometimes even up to half a minute before they give you the correct answer. So they may make a long delay before giving you the answer. And some students get worried about this because they are listening to the audio tape, but they don't hear any keywords and they don't hear the answers, and they worry if they're just missing out on the whole thing. Don't worry about this. Sometimes they just take a while before giving you the right answer. Next, complex words. So sometimes the answers are going to be complex words. So words that may have silent letters, perhaps the words may have difficult spelling, or they may be words where the answer is made up of two words, or perhaps you may have to use a hyphen in between words in some of the answers. So they're going to use answers that are going to be more complicated than usual. And finally, we have combination. Combination is basically when you receive a combination of any of the above traps. You may see some of these traps grouped together in a single question, or maybe you will see all of these traps in a single question. That is also possible. Okay, so that is combination. Now let's delve deeper into each one of these traps, and let me show you examples of each one of these traps. So we're starting off here with our first trap, which is the synonym language. And synonym language is, you can think of it like a mask. The answer is going to be disguised in a mask. So they are not going to use the exact keywords, rather, they are going to use different words that have the same meaning. So here I have a sample question. The question says, Premier members are given priority during dash hours, during blank hours. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at our transcript. So here is the audio transcript. In the test, of course, this is going to be stated in the audio, so you would be listening to this. But for the sake of our comprehension, for the sake of understanding the traps, I'm listing it out here in the text format so that you can understand, get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. But in the test, this is all going to be in audio format. So here's the transcript, and notice here that I'm not choosing the entire transcript. Rather, I have only selected a small area of the transcript that relates directly to this particular question that we're dealing with. So here is the transcript. Premier membership is for professional people whose work commitments make it difficult for them to use the club during the day, and so LP gives booking preferences to Premier members at peak times. This means you will find it easier to book the sessions at times that suit you. Guys, were you able to find the correct answer? I want you to also try to pick the right answer as we go through these. So let's go ahead and break it down. Right here, we have the phrase gives booking preferences. That right there is synonym language for priority, giving priority. So Premier members are given priority. So that means that they are giving extra preferences, extra booking preferences to Premier members. During when? During when? During peak times. So times is another use of synonym language. Times is synonym for hours. Different words, but they mean the same thing. So the answer is going to be peak. Okay? So note here that the correct answer will almost always be disguised in synonym language. So this here is where we have found our answer. This is the so-called matching sentence where we have located our answer, and the correct answer is peak hours. Peak times, that is synonym for peak hours. Let's take a look at the next trap, the exact language trap. Right here, they're going to wave a carrot in front of you and they're going to try to trick you. They're going to try to give you a bait, almost like the bait that a fisherman gives to fish. So don't fall for this bait. In the exact language trap, they're going to be using the exact words from the answer choices. Let me show you an example. So here we have the transcript. And this is a conversation between two people. So John says, hello, Professor. I'm John Wishart. I'm working on my entry for the global design competition. My tutor said you might be able to help me with it. The professor says, yes, I got a copy of your drawings. Come in and tell me about it. What sort of competition is it? John says, well, it's an international design competition, and we have come up with a new design for a typical domestic kitchen appliance. Alright, now you may notice that there are several keywords that are used here that are here in the answer choices. For example, here we have the word design in the answer choice, and the word design appears several times here in this conversation. Global design competition, international design competition, new design. So a lot of students will just pick the answer choice A because they hear this word design over and over again. You know, if you hear a word too many times like this, you can almost be pretty sure that that is not going to be the right answer. It's too obvious when they try to get you to pick the wrong answer by throwing around the same exact keyword over and over again. Now, another word that appears here is appliance. Appliance is also a word that appears here in the conversation. Domestic kitchen appliance. So if you've been following me so far, you should know that we should never pick an answer just because the same keyword appears in the transcript. Always focus on the meaning of the question and on the meaning of what is being said. So right here, it says, we have to come up with a new design for a typical domestic kitchen appliance. That is the same as developing a new use for current technology. So here, the correct answer is once again disguised in synonym language. They don't say here exactly that they need to develop a new use for current technology. They don't say that. They use synonym language. They say that we have to come up with a new design for a typical domestic kitchen appliance. So the domestic kitchen appliance is the current technology. And when they say we need to develop a new use, that is synonym language for a new design. And the synonym language for develop is we have to come up with. So the correct answer here is going to be C, the letter C. Now, in this same question, the transcript continues to go on for quite some time, and the conversation continues between the professor and between John, and they continue to have this conversation. And even after we have found the right answer, which is the letter C, they still continue to use exact language in order to try to trick you. For example, here we have the word energy saving, and right here, you see that we have the words save energy. So the exact language trap could also appear as synonym. So here, instead of saying energy saving, they are still trying to trick you by saying save energy. So again, you have to pay attention to the meaning. Don't pick an answer just because the exact keywords are used. So keywords from the wrong answer choices will be used to trick you, and that is the exact language trap. Here's the next trap, the delayed response, in which they take a long time before they give you the right answer. So here's an example of that. Here's our question. Which two skills did Laura improve as a result of her work placement? So here we have all of these different answer choices, and right here we have our transcript. So let's take a look at this. This is again a conversation. So Tim says, "Hi Laura, could you spare a few minutes to talk about the work placement you did last summer? I'm thinking of doing one myself." Laura says, "Hi Tim, sure." Then Tim says, "Didn't you do yours at an environmental services company?" Laura says, "That's right, it's only a very small company and they needed someone to produce a company brochure." Okay, so we haven't found any keywords yet, we haven't really found our answer yet, and this conversation continues on. So it continues on, and I wanted to get some business, blah, 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 and it continues for quite some time. Then Tim says something, then Laura says something, and the conversation is still going on and we still don't have our answer. Again, the conversation is continuing. Tim says something, Laura says something, and finally around this point is where we find our answer, where we find the relevant section. Right here, Tim says, do you think you got any better at managing your time and prioritizing things? You always used to say you had trouble with that. Guys, can you guess what is that synonym language for? Right here we have the correct answer. But which of these letters do you think this is the correct answer for? When we talk about managing time and prioritizing things, that is synonym language for what? That is synonym language for organization. You have now learned to better organize your time. Organize is synonym for manage. And prioritizing is also synonym for organize or manage. So the correct answer here, one of the correct answers, is going to be the letter E. Then down here, we have our second answer. Laura says, oh, definitely. There was so much pressure to meet the project deadline. And I also got better at explaining things and asserting my opinions. What is that synonym language for? Got better at explaining things and asserting my opinions. Can you guess? That is synonym language for A, communication. So that is the correct answer there. So you see how it can take some time. They can take some time before they give you the right answers. And when they do give you the right answers, they may come like this, very close to each other. Or, again, they may be spaced out. So that is the delayed response trap. The next trap is the multiple answers trap. So here's a sample question. Total distance of the first trip, how many kilometers? So we can already guess that this is going to be some sort of a number, right? Since we're talking about the distance. So here is the transcript. So this is a conversation. And Andrea says, so how many days are the trips and how much do they cost? The travel agent says, the first one I told you about is a self-drive tour through California, which lasts 12 days and covers 2,020 kilometers. The shortest journey is 206 kilometers and the longest is 632 kilometers. Okay, so do you see over here how they're using these different numbers to trick you? So they're not just talking about one number. Rather, they're talking about three different numbers. So they're giving you multiple different answers and you have to decide which one of these numbers is the correct one. Which one do you think is the correct one, guys? Can you take a guess? Right here, they're using different numbers, and these numbers are the incorrect numbers. So in this way, they'll throw around wrong answers to try to confuse you, but in this case, the correct answer is here. So you have to understand the meaning. It says total distance of the trip, of the first trip, how much is it? It says that the total distance, which lasts 12 days, it covers 2,020 kilometers. So that there is the correct answer. Now the next type of trap is the modification trap. So here's an example of this. Heard about a company from where? From where? Here is the transcript. And the travel agent says, thank you. And can I ask you where you heard about world tours? From a friend? Or did you see an advert somewhere? So here they are using different answer choices. They're talking about a friend or an advert. But then Andrea says, no. She modifies, she corrects. She says, no, I read about you in the newspaper. So they threw around different answer choices. For example, they talked about a friend and then an advert. But then Andrea modified the answer and she corrected it and said no. You can also think of this as clarification, where the speaker is clarifying the correct answer. So in the transcript or in the audio, they may say something like this, something to modify the answer. For example, they may say no, or no, that's not quite right, or I don't think so, or they may say, I changed my mind. Can you change that? Or can you fix it? Or something like this. They're going to use some sort of language to modify their answer. So in this case, the correct answer is newspaper. She heard about the company from the newspaper. Next, we have word reorder. So here is the example for this. Has sports dash and equipment on floors 1 to 3. So here is the transcript for this. This is a monologue. I was invited to a special preview, and I can promise you this is the ultimate in sports retailing. The whole place has been given a new minimalist look with the company's signature colors of black and red. The first 3 floors have a huge range of sports clothing as well as equipment, and on the top floor there's a cafe and a book and a DVD section. Okay, so what we mean by word reorder is they will switch up the order of the words in the question or the keywords in the question. So just because in the question the word sports appears before the word equipment doesn't mean that when you hear it, it will be in the same order. Okay, this may not be the case. As you can see over here, the phrase first 3 floors appears over here, and then the word sports appears down here. So the order is reversed. Whereas here you see the word sports first, and then you see floors 1, 2, 3. Here we have the words first 3 floors first, and then we have the word sports. So that's what we mean by word reorder. So this is where we have our answer. The first 3 floors have a huge range of sports clothing. So has sports what? Sports what? Sports clothing. That's the right answer. So the order may be switched up in such a manner. Okay? So the order of the sentence in the transcript is different from the order in the question. The correct answer here is clothing, sports clothing. Next, we have the complex words trap. Here we have an example. Promotion goals focus on what? So here we have the transcript. Today, I want to talk about self-regulatory focus theory, blah, blah, blah. I won't read the whole thing for you, but the important point I want to mention here is this part over here. So this is where we have the answer. Promotion goals in different life situations emphasize what? Emphasize achievement. Focus is synonym language for emphasize. Here we have the word promotion, and then focus is emphasize. Emphasize what? Achievement. So achievement is a complex word. A lot of students would not be able to spell this word correctly. It's so easy to misspell this word like this, with the E first and I next, or like this, by just missing the E completely. So this is an example of a complex word trap. They may also use different answers that require you to use words with silent letters, or words where you may have to use a hyphen in between, or something like this. So the correct answer here is achievement, and let us now move on to our final trap, which is the combination, where you may get a dragon with all the different types of traps that we've discussed so far. So here's an example of a question. Which 2 hobbies was Thor Heyerdahl very interested in as a youth? So here are all the different answer choices, and here we have the transcript. So this is a conversation. Victor says, right, well, for our presentation, shall I start with the early life of Thor Heyerdahl? Olivia says, sure. Why don't you begin with describing the type of boy he was, especially his passion for collecting things? So Victor replies, that's right, he had his own little museum, And I think it's unusual for children to develop their own values and not join in their parents' hobbies. So right here, we have the word collecting. We see the word collecting here. But what I want you to pay attention to first is this area right here, this phrase, passion for collecting things. So right here, collecting is the right answer. That is letter C, passion for collecting things. So the first trick that they're using here is that they're not giving us the answer directly. So they're not just telling us what he was interested in as a youth. They don't say that. Rather, they're talking about his passion. So passion is synonym language for interest. So here we have an example of synonym language. So they don't use the exact words from the question, rather they disguise it in synonym language. Passion for what? Interested in what? Interested in collecting things. So that is going to be one of our correct answers here. Let's carry on. We are still continuing with this question. We still have to find the other answer. So here is the remainder of the transcript. So it goes on, I'm thinking of how Heyerdahl wouldn't go hunting with his dad, for example. Olivia responds, yeah, he preferred to learn about nature by listening to his mother read to him. And quite early on, he knew he wanted to become an explorer when he grew up. That came from his camping trips he went on in Norway, I think. Victor responds, no, it was climbing that he spent his time on as a young man. Okay, so young man is synonym for youth. Right here we have the keyword hunting. So hunting is the word that appears here, right? Is that the right answer though? This may just be an exact language trap. So you always have to pay attention to the meaning. Here we have another word, read, and right here it talks about reading. So here they're using exact language. Here we have another word, camping, which appears right here. So they're using exact language, or you can also think of it as multiple answers where they're trying to throw around multiple keywords from multiple answers, hoping that you will fall for any one of them. So this is another trap that is being used here in this question. Another thing that they're doing here is modification. So notice how Olivia says, that came from his camping trips he went on in Norway, I think. But then Victor corrects her. He says, oh no, that wasn't it. It was climbing that he spent his time on as a young man. See? So what is the correct answer, guys? Can you take a guess? I hope it's not a guess by this point. I hope the answer is very clear to you. So the right answer is climbing. Climbing. Victor says it was climbing that he spent his time on as a young man. This again, they don't give it to you directly. They are again using synonym language here. So instead of saying what he was interested in as a youth, they say what he spent his time on. And youth again is synonym language for a young man. So the correct answer here is climbing, the letter B. Fantastic. So we are now finished with going over all the different tricks and traps that the examiners will use in the test. In the next video, we'll talk about how to answer section 1. I'll see you there.